It's certainly a pleasure to be here today in Rotterdam to share the work that we're doing in New Brunswick to advance hydrogen opportunities. Now, New Brunswick, as you know, is on the east coast of Canada. Or I might ask how many people knew that. So I'm the Premier of New Brunswick, and we've been an energy province for some time, and we're looking at how we expand into the future. You know, as a Canadian, we've also understood the obligations that we have to our allies here in Europe, you know, going back obviously many, many years. And I had something said to me yesterday that hit home probably harder than anything else we had in the discussion. And the comment made was that we're 2 hours away from the conflict in Ukraine, right at this point here in Rotterdam. And you know what I found shocking about all that is not only the proximity, but that in our province is 2 hours away from Montreal. It's a short distance to get in anywhere when you think of what is actually happening. Well, what is most shocking about it all is how it's become, and we've become a bit complacent in North America. We come and get complacent about the trials that are being faced right here. And so what can we do to be part of the solution? So when we work on projects like the energy project as being part of a cleaner energy strategy that we've been developing over recent years through the government's strategic investments, our global partnerships, the bold vision to power our economy in the world with New Brunswick Energy, we all know we're targeted on the future. We all know hydrogen is one of the fuels for the future. And how do we get there? How quickly can we get there? And what is the path to getting there? To bring this vision to life, we've embraced 6 principles, which I'm going to touch on in the next few minutes. First, I want to talk a little bit about how about New Brunswick and why we're perfectly positioned to deliver on our strategy. I worked in a traditional energy field for a lot of years, bringing crude oil from around the world into a local refinery and then being the next major exporter into the US market. But now we're grappling with new challenges, new changes, the changes in climate and how that affects what we do each and every day on a go-forward basis. Our government has a climate change plan that gives a pathway to decarbonization and to building climate resilience. It outlines over 30 broad actions, including mitigating rising sea levels, better education in schools, and ambitious targets around electric vehicles, to name but a few. But perhaps most importantly, to achieve our climate change plans, we want to have an integrated energy strategy. Now, what does that mean? Especially, we want to have goals and stay on track to hit those goals, like a clean energy grid by 2035, a net zero in 2050, and have overall energy security in doing so. While these are national, international targets, the goals that we all want to achieve, we also need to have a common understanding of just how we get there, when we get there, and how we continue to provide energy at a reasonable price that our consumers can afford. A core part of this strategy must be the development of hydrogen for both export and for building new clean industrial bases in our province. As noted on the first bullet on my slide, we have unique assets and incredible resources in our province, not to mention easy access to European and US markets. We're home to one of the largest oil refineries in the country, was a major hydrogen producer already, all of which is used for internal consumption. As part of that transition plan, however, the company has recently announced that it will be the first in Canada to use an electrolyzer to produce hydrogen within the refinery. They will begin to convert their gray hydrogen to green using advanced technology. This is a significant development and puts our provinces at leading edge. And as part of this process, it's allowing industry to pay for the path forward for the future, not being downloaded onto consumers, but in a way that industry has used what we've had for years for energy supplies to be part of the future energy solution. It requires a change in our carbon credit policy in the country. We are also home to Canada's only operational LNG terminal. And while it is an important operation today, the potential exists for this operation to move to export LNG if local gas was available, and potentially even hydrogen and other cleaner gases in the future. Industry leadership is a clear strength in New Brunswick. Another is our geography. As you know, hydrogen production requires vast amounts of water, which we have an abundance of, thanks to our location. Another important benefit of our location is that the wind regime is exceptional. And we believe the potential exists for development of up to 20 gigawatts of both onshore and offshore wind in the future. We are also sitting on vast natural gas reserves, as much as 77 trillion cubic feet. Yet today, all of the natural gas consumed in Atlantic Canada is imported. If developed, our natural gas could offer a significant opportunity to assist immediately with world energy needs. Now, why do I bring this up at a hydrogen conference? I bring it up to us to realize the transition fuels that are required to get us to the point of a clean, green energy. And you know, a lot of people don't want to talk about that. A lot of people think that it'll just kind of happen. And we will transition as hydrogen is available, and we'll spend the money necessary to make it as available as soon as possible. But the reality is, and we experienced it in New Brunswick recently, we had the first time in our history when our major supplier of hydropower actually turned the taps off and said, we can't supply electricity to you during this storm. And we had a situation where everything we had running, we have a nuclear plant, we have a gas plant, we have we have a coal plant, we have several other hydro dams, 3 hydro dams, and yet we were right on the edge of supply, and we had to turn down usage. And that was the first time we'd ever been cut off by a supplier. But what that tells you is we've got to stay focused on the supply reliability, because people expect the lights to be turned on when they flick the switch. And there is a path to do this. If developed, we can offer a significant opportunity to assist not only our energy needs in New Brunswick, but immediate export opportunity to here in Europe. And we have the potential, within like a 3-year time frame, to be shipping natural gas, LNG converted natural gas into the European market. And the goal is to continue to find partners to help us develop this resource, to continue to be an energy solution that has always been part of what Canada can offer, and to continue to be supportive of our allies as we did so many years ago, and as we should be doing now in a much faster timeline due to the conflict that we see in Russia and Ukraine. It'd be a major source for LNG, as I say, to replace coal in our own province. We could shut down 5 coal plants. What's more, also important, we have deep water ports, industrial capabilities in Belledune and St. John, making them ideal hubs for future hydrogen projects. As you can see in the screen behind me, one of the key objectives is to develop hydrogen and our sources of clean energy to bring new industry in our province. We are working on a hydrogen roadmap, basically to say, okay, what's a reasonable time frame and when hydrogen will be coming into our system in a quantity that actually starts to back out the traditional fuels? And then where are the gaps and how do we communicate them collectively? So we all have the common focus to be actually on a cleaner, greener environment, and hydrogen being a fuel source of the future. The agreement we need to get in this process is how and when can we get there, and what are the actual steps that are required. One of the areas certainly I'm most proud of is the discussions that we participated in just a few minutes ago, and it's under the philosophy and the opportunity that exists in the port of Belledune, located in the northern part of New Brunswick. They've just announced the creation of a green energy hub to support clean energy projects and to export into the market, as well as to be a provider for green energy for industrial manufacturing. The Green Energy Hub is a special developed district designed to attract renewable energy projects and clean industry. We have iron ore traveling now to South Korea and then coming back to North America once it's being produced. That needs to be done right locally. Belledune is putting a project together that can provide the energy to do that and make that a green steel project, so it doesn't have to go halfway around the world in order to be processed and then come back into our market. This hub also includes plans for wind, battery storage, and smaller modular nuclear reactor technology. Part of this involves a partnership with Cross River Infrastructure Partners for a proposed 51,000 megawatt green ammonia, low carbon hydrogen derivative production and export facility. And this is planned with a 1 gigawatt Gen 4 nuclear expansion, compliant with EA Delegated Acts, the only one in the world. We are currently partners with 2 SMR projects, Moltex and ARC, and we're working with them for that development to happen over the coming 8 to 10 years. Work is also underway in the port to locate another 1 gigawatt of advanced small nuclear reactors, modular reactor, to produce clean energy for possible future hydrogen production and as an energy source for industrial decarbonization. The technology that we have selected is what we see as, again, the future for a non-carbon emitting energy source. And I'm pleased that a province the size of New Brunswick Now let's put it in perspective. If for you that aren't familiar with New Brunswick, we've had a 10% increase in population in New Brunswick over the last 2.5 years. Now many would think, wow, 10%, that's pretty big. Well, it is. But we went from 760,000 people to about 835,000. So we still have lots of room. So we have lots of room for growth, lots of energy to provide to that growth, and lots of room for investment and new people to be part of it. And in fact, we're counting on new energy projects to be developed by new people coming to our province and being part of our continued success story. We've just completed an extensive hydrogen study, and we're on track to release a provincial hydrogen roadmap. This will be done in July of this year. So we'll all kind of see where we think we can go in increments of 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Our goal is to provide, and I'm an engineer by profession, so I kind of like milestones, I like to have timelines, I like to know who's responsible for what and when, and I like to hold people accountable to get the results. And that's a bit of an odd position for politicians to take, as most of you may know if you're in the political realm. But for me, it's normal. I did it for over my entire career in the private sector, and I continue to do it. Because if we're going to get anything done, we got to do it in a meaningful time frame, and someone's got to own it. And I think we're saying we're going to own this in New Brunswick, and we're going to make it happen for our allies as a major exporter coming out of New Brunswick. And we have the controls on the permitting required in order to make the green hydrogen project work, the wind farm work, the NLG project work. We have the actual access to do this right locally, and we have obviously the will to do so. We've completed the study. We'll issue it in July. It'll outline our actions needed for growth. I mentioned the HSMRs earlier, and you'll note that that's another key part of our strategy. We believe that the development and deployment of advanced modular nuclear reactors is critical to the clean energy future. And I'm pleased that our province is at the forefront, and we will work with partners. We'll work with provincial partners. We'll continue to be part of a solution of the greater good, because the impetus is on us all in order to do our part. And we think our province on East Coast Canada can punch well above its weight. We have a long history and track record with the nuclear industry. We are one of only 2 provinces in all of Canada operating nuclear plants, and we have over 40 years of experience. So we know the industry is moving to a new design, new technology, one that's more acceptable and one that's more portable and flexible to go to remote areas, but be a key energy solution. And I think it behooves people to learn more about this technology and not be put off by maybe what we've seen in the past. One technology that we're part of that's being researched actually uses spent fuel as its design. Now, it has a lot of research and development to do, but let's think big about what the potentials can be and what role we can play in that. So we're leveraging our experience, and we want this to be part of a pan-Canadian plan to lead development of the Gen 4 advanced SMRs. The next generation reactors are ideal for industrial decarbonization and hydrogen production. It's safe technology, and it can be incorporated with intermittent renewable sources like wind and solar. We are very pleased that New Brunswick is home of 2 SMR leaders who have their Canadian headquarters in St. John, and as I mentioned, Moltex and ARC. So we receive for support for these projects. We're moving forward. We hope to begin construction in the time 26, commissioning in 2029 at our Point Lepreau facility. We are moving in the direction required to be a major energy solution. We're building true energy clusters. One we mentioned in Beldoon, a plan for the future, a plan for long-term investment, a plan that is reality in today's terms. We're leading development and deployment of key technologies. At the same time, we're leveraging significant university research capabilities, building new curriculums, skilled trades, and developing a robust supply chain that connects our industry, service, and knowledge. And as we continue to advance this work, we intend to work very closely with partners and stakeholders throughout different countries and throughout different nations. But we need to work together to meet our targets. We can be part of a 20-year supply need of traditional energy, but we can be a strategic part as well of a long-term strategy for long-term energy needs. So what we're focused on here is meeting the needs of today, growing the needs for the future, and building a clean environment that we're all part of that solution. And I believe, sincerely, New Brunswick can be on the map in doing that. We would love for you to be part of the visit to New Brunswick. be part of the success story. We have a booth here representing certainly Canada. We'd like to make connections. We're open for business, so my time's up. Please call.